My name is Rachel and I'm here for part 2 of my wrap up for the month of May, and today I'm doing my classics wrap up. I discuss my reading in the order of my ratings for them, so I'll start with the lowest and go to the highest rating. So we are going to start with Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, which I gave 2 stars. My 2 stars is that something is enjoyable and I kind of like it, but it's nothing special for me. It doesn't stand out. It's just, it passed the time. And that's what this was for me. I didn't find it nostalgic or anything, which I thought that I would because I used to love Peter Pan, the film, when I was younger, and the Disney one, but no, didn't have any of the nostalgia for it. Yeah, I'm sure everyone knows the story of Peter Pan, but it's basically about like this family, like the children in a family who are visited by Peter Pan, and he takes them to Neverland. It just wasn't anything special. I don't have positives or negatives. I don't have anything to tell you really. I just read it. So I'm going to move swiftly on past it because I feel like I'm really not. It just wasn't anything really. The next 2 things that I read were by the same author, and that was Virginia Woolf. I have mentioned got a bit obsessed with Virginia Woolf in the past month or so. I didn't read any of her novels because I actually got Mrs. Dalloway from the Zurich Library, but because I heard it had some lesbian or female themes, I was saving it for this month because I'm reading all private books this month. So I have actually started this. I've read about 30 pages and I'm really enjoying the writing style so far, though you really have to be like fully immersed and concentrating on reading it, so it's a bit slow, but I'm loving it. However, that's not what I've read this month, Rachel. Get back on track. So what I read was, I reread The Mark on the Wall, which is a stream of consciousness short story where our point of view character sees a mark on a wall. She's sat like I am facing the wall. She sees a mark on it and she basically thinks about what that mark could be. And yeah, because it's a stream of consciousness, obviously her mind goes absolutely everywhere. It's about 10 pages and I give it 3 stars. I enjoyed it. I did do this at university and I didn't enjoy it. However, I think it's because they were short stories, I left them to the night before the class on it and read them and was like, oh, for God's sake, like, because I was like just wanted to go to sleep. Whereas now, because I gave myself time and I read it for my own enjoyment, I actually did enjoy it. So yeah, that was really good. And the other thing that I read, I've never read by her before, and it was a non-fiction, and it is The Death of the Moth. And this is basically also a stream of consciousness, but obviously it's about when Virginia Woolf was sat in her writing room, office, that sort of thing. She was at her writing desk and she looked at the window and there was a moth stuck between the 2 panes of glass that were like making up the window, and she basically has this stream of consciousness about this moth flying and being trapped in this window, and she is going to help it, but then it dies, and it's all just this stream of consciousness about this happening. I don't know how many pages it was because I read it on my phone, but I started it when I got on the train, and the train was like 20 minutes into Zurich, and I'd finished it by the time we got off. And I was on the train with my girlfriend as well, so I did stop to talk to her at times. So yeah, it's not very long at all, and was quite enjoyable, so I gave that one 3.5 stars. The next thing that I read was Fahrenheit 451 by Bradbury, which I gave 4 stars? Yes, I gave this 4 stars. So I will say one negative of this is that there are 3 parts to this book and no chapters, and that bothered me. I wanted some chapters in this book. So that was a negative. Also, when I was talking about this, I read the first half during the Jews 24-hour readathon, so I read like 120 pages in the first day, and then the other half I waited about 2 weeks. I didn't read the other half till I got back to Zurich, but I waited and then read the rest in a day. So yeah, I would recommend like reading it all at once because it's quite short. I said in that video that I wasn't too sure about the writing style, that it was kind of just not descriptive and I wasn't enjoying it so much, but I did definitely come around to it by the end and actually really enjoyed the writing style by the end of the book. I absolutely love the premise of this. This is basically a dystopian, a classic for the genre really, and it is about a man who is a fireman and this is basically in the future, and firemen burn books, and they go to houses, and if there are books there, they will burn them. They will sometimes burn the house. People get imprisoned for having books. It was really like an underground thing. People lived outside of society to try and keep themselves safe. And yeah, I really enjoyed that part of it. Like it was really, really cool. I love that it's called Fahrenheit 451. Like it says on the back that Fahrenheit 451 is the temperature at which book paper catches fire and burns. So like, how amazing of a title is that for this book? Like, how did he come up with such a fantastic title for this book? I don't even know who could come up with that, except Sky, because that's an amazing title. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I loved how it like discussed literature, how it talked about libraries, and how it talked about people being their own libraries when they couldn't have a physical one. And yeah, I would highly recommend this. I really enjoyed it. I really want to read more classic dystopian because my current like work in progress is a dystopian, but I've actually only read a few things from the genre, and I'm glad that this is my first one because this is definitely going to push me to pick up quite a few more. On a quick side note, the other ones that I have are The Handmaid's Tale, Never Let Me Go, 1984, The Power. I think that's it for the ones that I've got here in Switzerland with me. If you've read any of those and would like recommend them, please let me know, because I really do need to get through some more dystopian, and I know a lot of people have read them, but it's just like knowing which ones to pick up. Because like everyone would tell me to pick up The Handmaid's Tale, but then should I pick up that before Never Let Me Go? I don't know. So yeah, if you've read any of those, please let me know down in the comments thing. And then the last classic that I finished in the month of May was Agnes Gray. I'd never read an Anne Bronte before. I've read some of the other Bronte works. I think I've read one by each sister, but I hadn't read anything by Anne, so it was really nice to read one of her books. I gave this 4 stars in the end. The main reason that I didn't give it any higher, because I did really enjoy it, but it took me about 20 or 30% to get into it. I didn't really like Agnes for the first 20 or 30%, and it took me a while to really get into the story. But once I did, I loved Agnes. I loved the love interest. I'm not going to mention who that is in case you read it and you don't want to know. I loved the ending. I thought it was brilliant. I love all the like theories about this being autobiographical and about how Anne's life was when she went abroad because she did a similar job. And about the like projects that they're doing at the end of the book, how this is kind of similar to what the Brönte sisters wanted to do, like all of that sort of stuff I find quite interesting. I enjoyed this book, and I feel like I picked it up at the perfect time in my life, because the job that Agnes had, if I was in that time, that's my job that I do now. I like moved to a foreign country, I moved to Switzerland, and I'm an au pair, so I look after somebody else's children. And that is basically the job Agnes does. So it was really interesting. I will say that it meant at times that sometimes that she would be saying like the kids did this or like blah blah blah, and I would just be thinking like, well, it's your job to control them, so control them. Although it was a very different situation then, because obviously it's kind of like she's better than those children when they're children, but when they grow up they will be of a social class that is higher than her. So it's kind of difficult to impose rules and authority on people who know that they will be better than you in a few years, if that makes sense. So yeah, I found the whole dynamic very interesting and really enjoyed the book. I can't wait to read her other book, The Tenant of Wharfield Hall, but I think that's the last book for the Brönte Book Club because that's what I read this for. The next book for the Brönte Book Club is Jane Eyre, but I'm not going to be reading Jane Eyre because I have read it and reread it, and I reread it only like a year or two ago, and it's not my favourite book. There's stuff that is my favourite and I really enjoy about it, but one of the things is that I feel like there's about 200 pages that could easily have been cut from that book and it not even affect the story at all. I'm not going to reread that, but I am going to read another book by Charlotte instead because I want to read The Professor, which I have here in Switzerland with me. So I'm hoping to pick up The Professor this month, and I'm very excited about that. So yeah, that was Agnes Gray. That's all the classics that I finished this month. And then the only other thing that I just wanted to mention is that I read some more of Northern Rabbit by Jane Austen. I don't know how much I read. I think I read around 50 pages, but I'm not sure because I've read a lot of it this, like, in the last 2 days, because this has been like my actively reading all the time book for the last 2 or 3 days. So yeah, I think I only read 50 pages at the end of last month. Yeah, I'll definitely finish this in the next, maybe today or maybe tomorrow. So this is great, obviously. I love this book. I love the satire and just the funniness of this book. It's so witty and intelligent, and I love it. And I love the backstory of it as well, and how like someone bought it. This company basically bought it to publish it and then held it for years and didn't publish it. And then after Jane Austen died, her brother bought it back off this publishing company, and then when he bought it successfully, he was like, oh, by the way, you know, you had a book by the author of Pride and Prejudice, you would have got a shit ton of money, but you were stupid and you just didn't publish it, so fuck you. Which I just think is such a cool story. I love it. But yeah, so that's all the classics that I read in the month of May. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video, which will be part 3 of this wrap up, which is graphic novels. Bye!